The written exam is really important because you can't get to the end goal, the actual check ride or holding the pilot certificate, without passing the written test.
For prepping myself for the written test, I've been taking practice tests, on Prepware, Sporties, King Schools. I bought a subscription for that just for myself. I've also been looking at sectional charts, sitting down with my CFI, making sure that I'm tracking on how to actually find like VORs, TACANs, DMEs.
The Sporties app that people recommended me, and I was just doing practice problems and practice tests, getting used to like the kinds of questions that they asked on the actual test, and that really helped a lot.
If I want to become a private pilot, the written test is a mandatory requirement before I get to that step. So the FAA thinks this is a really good way to test the student's knowledge and be able to kind of make an initial gate, I guess, for students to pass through and prove, hey, I've reached a certain level of knowledge and understanding before making it to the practical exam.
Definitely nervous, but I think by the end of this week I should probably be ready to take it. So I'm probably going to schedule it for early next week, see if I can go ahead and take that test and get it out of here.
The written exam can be quite difficult if you haven't prepared. I would say for the average person, if you've done the work to prepare, it's medium intensity. Perhaps depending on the certificate you're going for, right? Private, instrument, commercial, they each have a written test.
I was honestly really stressed. I've been stressing over this test for like 2 weeks, and the day of I was also really stressed. But I knew that I was prepared. It was like the first aviation test that I ever took, so I didn't know what to expect, I guess, and that's what made me stress out a little bit.
I've heard that you're probably, if you think you're ready for it, that you should probably, on practice tests, at least get 90% 3 times in a row before attempting to take it. I've been in like the 70s and 80s so far. I'm really not there confident 100% that I'm going to pass it on the first time, but I think if I can get 90% on 3 practice tests in a row, that I should probably be in the ballpark of being able to pass it on the first go.
It's very different from the test that I took in the past, just because it's not like academic, I guess, and it's not something that you're like, okay, I'm gonna do these math problems and I'm gonna be totally ready for it, remember the formulas or whatever. It's very knowledge-based, and that's what threw me off a little bit because I'm just not used to that. But the practice test really helped, and I guess I had a feeling of what the questions were gonna be on the actual test.
There's many study tools out there that can really get you prepared for the test, and if you've done that work, then you'll have no problem passing it. So the written test covers a variety of questions. There are certain sections for each rating. Let's talk about the private pilot one specifically for a minute. For example, you'll have a collection of weather questions. You'll have some systems questions, some regulation questions. They always include a small number of calculation questions. Maybe you're calculating the weight or the balancing point of an aircraft, the center of gravity, or maybe you're calculating the fuel or the time it will take to fly somewhere in a sample problem they've given you. Those ones usually cause students the most stress, but they're the smallest section. Typically don't see more than maybe 3 of those on the 60-question test for a private pilot. So a random sampling from multiple topic areas.
Some of the questions that throw me off, but most of them I was pretty familiar with. So talked to my instructor. I got a lot of help from people from like instrument and commercial, and they helped me a lot, and they taught me stuff that I needed to know before the test.
Once you arrive at the testing center, there's going to be a proctor there, or basically an individual that walks you through getting set up. All the tests are administered on computers, so you'll have multiple testing banks or computer stations essentially where you'll test.
My advice to students who haven't taken the test yet, I would say use the Sporties app because they really help a lot, and the questions are very similar. So get help from people who already took the test and then passed, because they know what to expect and they can help you with that.
Most testing centers, including ours, have them right next to each other. So you want to make sure that you're prepared to take the test next to somebody else if you need mints or headphones, right? And the testing centers provide that as well. But anyways, they'll provide you a booklet of all the information you need to answer the questions. If there's diagrams or if you need other figures, right, to be able to answer the questions. They'll also provide all required test-taking materials, pencils, scratch paper, calculators. You're allowed to bring your own, but the testing center provides them as well. And each test is timed, so you'll stay at your station, right? You'll complete the test in the allotted time, and afterwards, usually pops up like a satisfaction survey, how good was your testing center? And that's when you know you're done with the official test. So each testing center will also be equipped with security cameras. This is for the proctor to be able to monitor if there's cheating occurring. They're just going to make sure that you're at your station, you're not looking at anybody else's answers or worksheets. and it doesn't show you your score. You have to leave the room, talk to the proctor again, then they show you your score if you passed or not, and print out the score report for you, and that's what you'll present to your examiner on check ride day.